funny way, I would also not call myself a fashion designer. I don't think the label, I don't know what I would call myself, but I don't think the label fits 100%. Maybe the person that I'm quite most known for dressing is Thandiso Maswai.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Even though what I do is specifically for her, I think it links to what I do in certain ways. At actresses of all sizes.
Yes, of course.
And we were making things for all of them. So it was quite a good way to figure out designing for different body sizes. I was at this point making some stuff on order for people, but I didn't have the Black Coffee name yet.
Okay.
And I hadn't shown at SA Fashion Week yet. It's also rooted in the past. The pleats and the pintucks, at least.
Yes, sir.
The first year that I showed at SA Fashion Week.
Yes, sir.
So I had one.
What year is that?
1999. People would do day wear. People like Chris Levine and people like that, but they wouldn't do shows. They would just do it on a couture basis for wealthy ladies.
And you're live on Dead Radio.
Welcome to another very special episode of Dead Radio with your boy Ini, and once again we have a very, very special guest, a legend actually, in the building. On Dead Radio, I'm so excited to dissect his life's journey. We're going to let our guest introduce himself, and then we're going to get into his life journey. And you know how we do, extract those jewels for you guys to use in your everyday lives. So without further ado.
So my name is Jacques Van Der Watt. I'm the designer for Black Coffee.
I love that. How do you feel right now in this moment? I love that because it always brings people to the exact moment of right now.
Well, it was actually more chaotic getting here. So in this very moment, I feel quite calm.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So how I begin every Dead Radio episode is to predict the future. You have to look into the past. And to understand who Jacques is today, we have to start his book from page 1.
Sure.
So tell me about where you grew up, though just the early context of you being a young man. Were you running outside? Were you an introvert inside the house? Just give me that early context of your life.
So I was born in Pretoria.
Okay.
But then when I was 3, my family moved to Uitenhage. But my extended family were all in Uitenhage. Okay. So just when I was born, my dad was working in Pretoria. So my early memories are all of the Eastern Cape.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Were you an introvert? Were you an extrovert? Were you creative?
Maybe a bit of both.
Okay.
I would say,
okay,
depending on the situation.
I think they're called ambiverts. In between both sides.
Yeah, I think I can be very introverted. Like for instance, I don't love, and I never did love, like very public events kind of thing.
Okay.
Where I prefer more one-on-one.
Okay, like this.
Like even
besides the cameras.
Even when I was doing a lot of night clubbing, it always had to be a place with a area where you can kind of have a chat, like a chill. That. If you do like meet up with a friend, you can have a catch up. I don't like just that big, like, and at school I was also like that. I was never. I would say at school I was maybe even a bit more introverted.
Okay.
Always sketching, drawing, making things. Okay. Experimenting with like how to figure things out, that kind of thing. Okay. Teaching myself something.
I hear that.
Something crafty, that kind of thing.
You're a man who works with his hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't sporty at all.
Interesting. Okay.
In fact, shocking.
Shocking.
Like I would, like, for instance, show up at a tennis lesson without my racket. Oh. That guy, I was that guy.
I love
but
that.
But then the bonus was I would, like, play tennis with my tennis coach's very fancy rackets because I didn't bring mine. So maybe there was also method to my
So he would have to give you his racket now. I love that.
Okay, this works for me. This is better than my rackets.
I love that.
Yeah, but I was never good enough to kind of stay doing tennis. And yeah, I was like, I like being outside. I like playing, kind of building worlds in the garden.
Okay.
And like,
so vivid imagination from a very young age.
Like freaking my mother out, making fires in the garden, that kind of thing.
Okay, I like that.
So I wasn't just an indoor body, but like I wasn't like I wouldn't necessarily climb trees. And I liked cycling. I was always Uitenhage in the Eastern Cape is a very hilly town.
Yes,
so,
that's true.
So
cycling
I would, like,
a lot.
cycling around a lot. Yeah.
I like that.
So
I like
that. Was
that.
my early years.
Okay. Who do you become when you transition from being a young man to teenage years? Another super important and very formative years for anyone, because a lot of who you end up becoming in terms of your character starts showing, right, during those teenage years. And I think you mentioned, or rather when I was doing research on you, right, I discovered that you were making clothes in high school.
Yes, I started.
How? When?
Not
Talk to me like that.
Professionally.
Yes, of course.
Just starting
your own custom things.
Started to make stuff for myself, for my sister, for my mother. I also started making. We had a lady that used to. She was actually a relative. She was my aunt's mother. So what does that make me? My uncle's wife's mother. So my aunt's mother.
Relative.
She used to sew for my mom and my sister.
Okay.
And then suddenly I figured out, okay, but she can sew for me as well if I give her a pattern. And then I started buying commercial patterns and adapting them.
Interesting.
And just seeing how I could adapt them to get her to make me what I want. Yes. But I also did a bit of sewing myself, but I wasn't very good, but I made stuff.
Yes. Stuff that...
But I think I was always better at figuring out how it should be sewn, even though I wouldn't necessarily be the best person to sew it.
So what that sounds like to me is that you had taste, right? And not necessarily the skill set to bring the taste into the three-dimensional world.
And you're live on Dead Radio. And you're live on Dead Radio.
Yeah, and I think it was more than that. Remember, we're talking apartheid South Africa.
Yes.
In a little small industrial town in the Eastern Cape.
Yes, sir.
So you can imagine I didn't really fit in. But I also had no desire to fit in. And you can also imagine if I went to the shop, I could never find anything I was remotely interested in. Because what was available was dire.
Of course.
So that's kind of what this idea that there's other clothes, and how do I get my hands on those other clothes?
Yes, because
who makes those other clothes, and should it maybe be me?
So that's where your mind starts going.
I think that's how it started.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to tap into the end of your high school career, right? Matric. Another point in a young person's life, whether they're 17, 18, 19, where you now have to figure out what career path am I going to follow?
Yes.
What were you thinking at that time?
It was kind of...
Because being a fashion designer at that time, I'm not sure if that was even a viable option.
There was quite a lot in the magazines about fashion design competitions.
Okay, interesting.
So they would like kind of
Interesting.
feature young talent competitions that would be happening
Yes, sir.
either in the major cities.
Yes, sir.
And I would like see those. They would either be in the paper or in like You Magazine,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
I miss You Magazine.
And at the time, it was Anne-Marie Meintjes at Huisgenoot and You Magazine,
Yes, sir.
which is the same thing, obviously.
Yes.
And she had a column called Indie Call, which was basically in the spotlight kind of thing. And it was very good for the time.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it would probably still be very good now.
Yes, yes.
So I think that was maybe my introduction to that there is something like this.
Okay.
Because I don't know how much. But also, I mean, the media already reached us. There was like video fashion, which was on, I think, MTV. And even though we didn't have the dedicated channels, there would like be bits on SABC
Glimpses.
and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one was exposed, and I could get fashion magazines in the. I'm talking now more close to Matric.
Okay.
Like we could get magazines in Uitenhage. And
So now that
and
starts-
even order if you know if you couldn't get your hands on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I was pretty exposed to
that world.
yeah, later on in my school career, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I maybe started already when I was standard 6, 7. I would say I started making clothes.
Clothes, yes, sir.
And,
yes, sir.
but very basic. Yeah, like a little waistcoat, a little, yeah.
I mean, you have to start there before simplicity moves into complexity, right?
Yes.
So you have to start making with the most basic things. And that's
Yeah.
why every fashion designer, I know that they're a real fashion designer if they see that the first clothes that they were making were terrible. That's
Yes.
how I know that you're
Yes.
really a fashion designer. You've actually gone through the hoops.
Yes.
Okay. So what happens next for you? You have all this information that's floating in your head. You have
Yes.
obviously this passion for clothes, or should I call it fashion or should I call it style?
I actually often think about this, and the first time I started thinking about it is actually through Clive Rundle. He always used to say he's not a fashion designer, he's a constructionist.
Ooh,
And,
I love that.
and I don't know if I like 100% would choose the same label for myself, but in a funny way, I would also not call myself a fashion designer. I don't think the label, I don't know what I would call myself, but I don't think the label fits 100%. I can obviously do the job,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
but I don't think the label fits me 100%. Yeah.
So when you're at a dinner party and someone's meeting you for the first time, they've heard of the brand Black Coffee,
Yes.
which we'll get into.
Yes.
But how do you introduce yourself if they were to ask, so Jacques, what do you do for a living? How do you think about what you do for a living?
I can't remember the last time somebody asked.
I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But when I had my first job designing for Egoli,
Okay.
I used to hate saying what I did.
You're a fashion designer.
I used to hate saying because then it would start with all the questions about all the celebrities and da 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 da. So if I was in company that I felt safe in,
Yes.
that I could maybe just say, oh, I don't want to get into all that.
Yes.
Then I would maybe say what I really did. But
Okay.
otherwise, I would just make a joke and I'd say, I'd like say, oh, I work for Cameo. And then they'd say, but what do you do for Cameo? And my answer would always be, I'm a pantyhose crotch attached machine operator.
Oh my goodness.
It was like something like a bunch of us at college thought was hilarious, and we just always used to say it. And then it became my thing for a few years while I was at Egoli. So I like a bit of humor as well.
Yes.
Like a bit of silliness.
A bit of silliness. I like that. I like that.
It's almost, I think silliness is different to humor. It's related, but it's different.
Yes.
It's more like being a clown.
You're right. You're right. It's more
Yeah.
like you
My
don't mind.
My dad's a bit of a clown, and I think I learned it from him.
him.
Yeah. He likes clowning around a bit.
At the end of Matric, right? Is this a conversation that you have with your parents about you wanting to go into the world of clothes and creating clothes and fashion? Like, talk to me about that. And then do you go and study that at school, or what's the next place?
It was so clear that was what I needed to do.
Okay, so they even knew it.
No pushback.
I love that.
I had no pushback, and it was surprising.
Yes, of course.
To me as well. But I think it was so. I think I had such conviction, and I had already. I think that's where the fact that I started making things so early on paid off.
I get that.
I think I didn't pay off necessarily in the stuff I was making. Excluding the stuff that I made patterns for that other people sewed. And luckily I never had to become a tailor. I'm a designer.
I hear that.
I designed some stuff that I would still think is great now. But I wasn't sewing. I was never even now I can sew something. And if I really take my time, it can be quite perfect, but it would take me 5-6 times the amount of time that it would take a professional.
A professional, yes.
A tailor or a seamstress. But I had no pushback. No pushback. And my sister, for instance, wanted to study drama.
Okay.
And she had a conversation. They said to her, but maybe they saw making clothes as
and you're live on Dead Radio. And you're live on Dead Radio.
So she did, but with the condition that she also got a teacher's diploma. Yeah, but I got no condition.
They were just like, yo, go do what
they
you
could
need
have
to
said, well, also go do a business course or something.
Of course.
But they didn't. Yeah.
Okay, so now
I wish they did actually. Because nobody told me that you also have to be a businessman.
Yes, especially at that time. I mean, fast forward all those years today, most creative people understand that you need to understand the business as well, right? But at that time...
Yeah, and also I knew so little about the industry. I think I maybe thought I would go just work for someone.
Yes.
And they would worry about that. I didn't even maybe at that point dream that it would be so easy that it would be my label. Maybe I thought I'd be lucky to get a job as one of the designers somewhere, because I didn't know. I was in this small town. I didn't dare to dream that big, you know. Later on, maybe while I was studying, sure, because then I got informed more.
Now your view widens.
Yeah.
I understand.
And then also you kind of test yourself against other people and you start getting confidence in what you do.
Of course.
But like at that time, I probably just thought maybe like a factory that makes something and I'm the designer or the pattern maker. You know, you don't know where you're going to land before you. But I was realistic that it would maybe be something more practical like that. Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through tertiary education, right?
Yes.
What are you studying specifically?
So I studied fashion design.
Okay.
It was a 2-year diploma with Archie Leggett. He had a I don't know if you know of Archie, but he had a school that I think he had his school for 20 years. About maybe just over 20 years, and then he sold his course to Midrand Technicon. So they still teach it, but yeah, he's not teaching it himself anymore.
Interesting.
He's retired.
Yes, of course. And then eventually you get to the end of that 2 years.
Yeah.
What happens next for you? Do you immediately go work for someone else? Like, talk to me about that part.
So I thought maybe I should study more.
Okay.
So I started studying graphic design. I got accepted at Pretoria Technicon.
Okay.
I tried WITS, but I didn't get in.
It's fine.
So, it's this weird exam that you did where you had to like sketch something or paint something and whatever. It was all very awkward. But anyway, I got into the Pretoria Tech, and I never finished the first year. I got offered a job as a pattern maker.
Interesting.
At Egoli. It was the year they started. Franz Marc started Egoli, and they, through Archie Leggett, they phoned the college and said they need pattern makers. And then the college contacted me, and I just thought I'd rather do this than carry on with this course.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's the conversation like with your parents after, when you drop out?
I think they were fine because I was going into a job.
Yes.
I think if I was dropping out because it didn't interest me enough or something like that.
They'd be worried.
And also the decision for me was quite easy because we actually hadn't started doing graphic design yet, which is specifically what I was interested in.
Okay.
The first year you do all the disciplines.
Yes.
So you do, so I was still doing very broad, you know.
Before you specialized.
Even ceramics. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't feeling, I had no feedback yet on whether, funny enough, we'd done many things, but we hadn't done one stitch of graphic design. We had sculpture, ceramics, painting, figure drawing, that kind of thing, and a bit of theory and stuff. Okay. Yeah, so I think if I maybe fell in love with graphic design,
you would have stayed.
I would have maybe thought, no, let me finish this. But it was actually and I just started. I think I was 6 months in.
It was easier for you to pull
and
away.
then I thought, this sounds like maybe something I should explore. I can always go back to study if I don't think this job is right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you leave that and then you start earning actual money.
Yeah, I don't know if you can call it that.
I mean, had anyone paid you until that point for fashion? In any capacity?
Yes.
Okay.
I started selling clothes.
From the patterns you were making and
more while I was studying, I started selling things to people. Yes. Making things for people and selling. Yeah.
Okay.
Because then I felt I had more skills.
Yes.
So I started saying yes if people asked. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So what do you start learning once you're in this organization about this craft that you're in love with? Because theory and practical are like worlds apart.
Sure.
So what do you start learning practically while you're working here?
At Egoli?
Egoli, yes.
So what was quite good about Egoli is we had actresses of all sizes.
Yes, of course.
And we were making things for all of them. So it was quite a good way to figure out designing for different body sizes and different body types.
Yes, sir.
And also, there was something quite broad about it, because this one had to look like somebody from a lower income group.
Yes.
And this one had to look quite polished. And it was quite a dream job, but not for the reasons you would maybe think. Because I wasn't that taken by these guys are on TV every night thing. I was more what I enjoyed was they just left me to kind of experiment. They interfered. Like France had this weird thing. He was like very specific about what the men wore. And I think because he felt like it was out of his depth. Like he had no opinion about what women wore. We didn't once get feed, sometimes from one of the directors, and it would normally just be, you can go even more crazy if you like. We never got asked to be reined in. So from that point of view, it was quite, and there was also very little pressure to put out on a certain level, like quantity-wise.
Okay.
They were more concerned with, we have this scene, she has to look a certain way.
Yes.
What is she going to wear? Rather than how many garments did you get the team to make this week? Kind of thing.
And then they just gave you the freedom to be creative.
And it was the first time I had a seamstress.
I hear that.
A professional we had 3 professional seamstresses, and in the beginning we were 2 pattern makers, and there was a designer, and then a year later I became the designer, and so there was just always all the fabrics I wanted. There were seamstresses to sew it.
A kid in a toy store.
There was time to do it.
Yes, sir.
Well, sometimes the time was a bit crazy. They'd say, okay, in 2 weeks we're shooting, there's going to be 30 people in the scene and they have to all have something. We could obviously go buy some of the stuff, but a lot of the stuff wasn't available, so we had to create it. So from that point of view, there was sometimes a deadline crunch. But there was never, if there wasn't a deadline, because those things didn't come up in the story all the time. If there wasn't a deadline, they would just,
freedom to...
Yeah, if you've made a great jacket, then she wears it. If there isn't, then she wears the one she has already.
I hear that.
It was quite chilled from that point of view, but we were working long hours. Because in the beginning I had to stay till they wrapped. And it was the first year, so they were still figuring it out. It was the first time in the Southern Hemisphere that soap was shot 1 episode a day. So to shoot, I think it was 23 minutes. So a half an hour show would be 23 minutes if you take away the ads or something like that.
The ads in between.
If I remember correctly. And so I think it was a huge accomplishment for the team but we didn't get it right immediately. The way we dealt with it was to go overtime. So sometimes we'd leave at 7, 8, but often we'd leave at 11. At night, and then you're still there 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, of course.
So from that point of view, it was very hard work, but I didn't mind the hard work.
I hear that.
Yeah, but there was no pressure in terms of, the focus was on getting the episode out. The focus wasn't like how much clothes that the wardrobe team made.
I hear that.
It's more like, how does it look?
Is this perfect?
How does it look? Yeah.
Let's go.
Did we get it done? Is it meeting expectations? So it was quite a fun playground from that point of view.
I hear that. And obviously you're sharpening your skills and your taste, right?
Yes.
So talk to me then about, when does the idea and the confidence to start Black Coffee, when does that start happening in your mind? When are you like, I think I can start my own thing? When does that start happening in your mind?
So what started happening when I was still at Egoli, I was there for 3 years. Okay. So it was like episode 57, I think, till 300 and something. Lucilla Boyson from SA Fashion Week
We love Lucilla. We love Lucilla.
Actually, she and I like kind of connected quite well because she produced our end of year fashion show when I was at Leggett's. So I knew her through Leggett's.
Okay.
And then because of that, she asked me sometimes to do either, I can't remember exactly, there were a few shows I did where she needed designers to make stuff. I remember I did like a show where it was sponsored by upholstery, like a decor fabric brand. And so we all had to use their fabrics. And I think she included me for some reason. She saw something in me. And then she started using me more and more for little things. And then she actually gave me the confidence to resign at Egoli, and I started doing freelance styling for her.
Okay.
As well as starting my business. So it was kind of like a cash injection.
Yes.
For my business.
For the business.
When I'm a bit quieter, I can say yes to more freelance stuff. And then I started doing freelance styling for other things as well, TV commercials.
Magazines, I'm assuming.
I never really did magazines. It was a weird thing. I never really did stills.
Interesting.
So I styled fashion shows.
Okay.
Media launches. I did a few stills, but it was never my styling career, if you can call what I did a career. And I did TV commercials.
Okay. That's really the bulk of what you were styling.
What I was styling. And I did that maybe, it was probably about 10 years, maybe even a bit longer than 10 years, that I did styling and the black coffee business. Yeah.
Why the name Black Coffee? How do you... Billions of words in the English language.
Yes.
Why did you settle on those two words to represent your brand?
So I was living with a friend of mine. Her name's Lisa Con.
Where are you living now? Are you living in Pretoria or are you living in Johannesburg at this time?
Johannesburg. Yeah, when I came to study in Joburg, my parents also actually moved to Johannesburg at the same time. I always had it in my head that I would go study in Cape Town. But then my mom actually set up an interview with Archie Leggett. She saw him on TV. And it was her scheme to have me come to Joburg, because otherwise I would, because obviously they were coming. So
Yes, makes sense.
have a baby closer to her.
Of course, right here, so I can make sure that you're fine.
Yes,
I love that.
And I'm very thankful to her because I don't know, I don't see myself as a Cape Town designer. No shade to Cape Town designers.
We love Cape Town.
But I think I'm a Joburg designer. It's part of my identity.
I hear that completely.
So I was living in Joburg all along after school. So right after Matric, I came to Joburg to study here and first lived with my parents. But by this time, I was like living on my own.
Okay.
And yeah, very much a Joburg guy. Yeah.
So you're living with a friend?
I'm living with a friend.
Yes, sir.
And I'd already stopped at Egoli. I was at this point making some stuff on order for people, but I didn't have the black coffee name yet.
Okay.
And I hadn't shown at SA Fashion Week yet. And she's quite a good wordsmith and also like generally like very good with references, culture.
Okay.
So she came up with pages of name ideas, maybe at least 40 ideas of what it could be, and I just picked black coffee. And
interesting.
I liked it because the name is from a jazz song. It's one of the jazz standards. You probably know it.
Yes, of course. Of course.
And so I liked that a lot. I also liked, I happened to take my coffee black.
Okay.
So that made sense to me. I liked the fact that the song talks about late nights and being up all night.
Of course.
Obviously, it's more about being tormented. I was up all night because I was working through the night.
Exactly.
But at the time, it just resonated with me. And I also liked the idea that it was a bit confusing.
I hear that.
Because my strategy was always, if you get confused by something and then you figure it out, then you never forget.
Wow.
That's what I was.
What a great insight, though. What a great insight.
Because people often, like my bank always used to say, "Oh, how's the coffee shop doing?"
Yes, because immediately that's what people.
But it was
would
always
think.
people like that would make the mistake, like accountants and bankers.
Yes, of course. Very linear thinking people.
Yes.
I understand. So now you have the name. How do you figure out the direction of the clothes? Because now you have the name, right?
Yes.
And you've developed your taste and what you personally think is good to great, right?
Yes.
How do you start figuring out the identity of black coffee, right? Because the thing about brands is that they have, the best fashion designers understand that their brands have their own identity.
Yes.
And that sometimes takes years for you to figure out, okay, this is black coffee's identity. Because one of the things that how do I even explain this? One of the things that sticks out to me in terms of black coffee is geometry.
Yes.
That's a very big part of its identity.
Yes.
From the outside looking in, right?
Yes.
But how did you figure out what black coffee's identity is?
So the only thing I would add to that is maybe the true thing is not geometry but complexity.
Complexity.
Which sometimes or often becomes geometry.
Aha, okay.
But like in the beginning especially, it was a lot of pleats and pin tucks. But if you think about a pleat and a pin tuck, it's also geometry.
Yes, it is.
To an extent.
It is.
It certainly looks like geometry on the pattern.
It is.
But it's also rooted in the past. The pleats and the pin tucks, at least.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think later I explored through digital printing and laser cutting and things like that, things that were less rooted in the past, but they were maybe rooted in the past in other thematic ways. Yeah. But right from the beginning, I always wanted to reference quite classic things, but make it very modern.
The past and the present.
Yeah, like I want to, inspired, or the spark or the original idea is quite traditional, or quite African, or quite historic, or a historic way of constructing a garment. Also, there's always, in my collections, there's always two themes, in a way, if you can call them. The one is more truly like the visual theme of the or the contextual theme of the collection.
Yes, sir.
And the other one is more the construction method.
Okay.
So there's always the two.
That means
I always try and explore.
I love that.
Either a method I've never explored before, like in the beginning it was pleats and pin tucks, and see how far I can take it, or like my very first collection, a lot of the stuff, for instance, was padded. It was padded, but they weren't puffer jackets.
Okay, I hear
it was more padding that explored sculptural shapes and
Okay.
So there's always that kind of thing that makes sense to me. Okay, this is how we make the stuff.
Yes.
And then there's the overall thing of like okay, where does this fit in fashion history, in themes. Where did I get the idea?
I hear
Who's
that.
going to wear it? Like,
Yes,
who is
yes.
this person?
Yes,
Or
yes,
what
yes.
is this world I'm creating? Yes.
Well, the
So there's
world
always the
building.
two things
That meet.
that overlap. The
I
one
hear
supports
that.
the other. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like architecture.
Yes.
The structures support each other.
Yes.
Okay.
And years later, I also started the architectural course, but
Of
I also
course.
never finished it. So maybe I'm just the eternal dropout, except when it comes to the fashion course.
Some of the greatest people in the world are dropouts.
Yeah.
That is a fact of life. That says more about the schooling system
Yes.
than it does about the individual.
But I also think you kind of have a curiosity
Yes, sir.
about how it would be like if you study that, and then you go in and you learn a little bit, and then you think, well, that didn't happen to me with the graphic design because I never got to graphic design, but like with architecture, and it was also not proper architecture. It was like architectural drafting that I started doing part-time when I was still at Egoli.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so I think it fitted in quite closely with pattern drafting.
Yes.
Because it's obviously there's way more responsibility.
Of course.
In terms of structure.
Of course.
But
It's the same
the
thing.
concepts are similar. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
When do you start realizing that black coffee is becoming successful? Because everyone who starts something, it reaches a tipping point where
Yes.
it either collapses
Yes.
or becomes even bigger than what you thought it was at that current moment.
So I was very lucky. The first year that I showed at SA Fashion Week.
Yes, sir.
So I had one.
What year is that?
1999.
99 is the first time you're showing at SA Fashion Week.
Yeah, except in 1998, I was part of the new talent search.
Yes, okay.
So, but my first black coffee collection was 1999, and in 1998, I already had the black coffee label, but I entered under I think at the time there was some rule you couldn't enter under a label name. You had to be like just a young designer
I understand.
who's aspiring. So yeah, that was my first one, and Lucilla had grouped 4 of us together for the show. I don't remember, but in my mind it was the opening show, or maybe just the first show after the new talent search.
Okay.
And it was black coffee, Roji, David West, and Abigail Bates. And it was a very strong combination of people.
Okay.
And we were all doing something that was very similar in the sense that we were making collections, like retail collections.
Okay.
Not necessarily super commercial retail collections, but these were clearly lines that were ready to wear. Even though they were maybe progressive, experimental,
Yes, sir.
they had either like a slightly streetwear side to it, or a cultural commentary side to it, but these were ready to wear garments. They were not, we're talking 1999.
Yes, sir.
So up to that point, most designers were making occasion clothes. In South Africa, if you thought of a fashion designer, it would be somebody you would go to for a wedding dress, a Matric dance dress.
Makes sense.
And remember, it was only the 3rd year of SA Fashion Week.
Yes, sir.
99.
Yes, sir.
Because I think she started in 97.
Yes, 97. Yes, you're right.
So it was only the 3rd year.
That existed, yes, sir.
That existed. And before then, fashion existed at race days, at so you at the horse racing there'd always be like a fashion show before or
Yes, sir.
in the middle
Yeah.
or whatever. And or you'd have like a show at a wine estate where it would be promoting the wine estate and they'd ask the top designers to show, or there were nowhere to show a range. So unless you were a designer that would decide to do your own show, like you maybe had your own venue with a beautiful garden, then maybe you do your own show.
Yes,
but
sir.
there was no organized Fashion Week shows
Of course.
till then. So it was also to be expected that there wasn't really people thinking in the people would do day wear, people like Chris Levine and people like that, but they wouldn't do shows. They would just do it on a couture basis for wealthy ladies. So it was the first time the magazines really saw a collection that was comparable
Yes, sir.
to an international collection in
I
the
hear
sense of, here's the thing that maybe you wear on the street, here's the thing you wear when you go partying, but for that brand signature. And all four of us had quite a strong individual look. The four of us didn't look the same either.
I love that.
And I think the magazines just went mad for all four of us. So we just got rocketed into. So from like dreaming of being maybe on the cover of
Yes, sir.
I think Al also had just launched in South Africa. And then, of course, we had Cosmopolitan.
Yes, sir.
So suddenly we would just, and then obviously all the South African, like the Sari and the Royrosa and the Fair Lady, and
sir.
all that stuff. Like suddenly we were just in all the magazines. It was like it happened
Overnight.
effortlessly.
So that's the equivalent of going viral today in the internet age.
Yes, it wasn't, but this was like suddenly I could be in a supermarket and there would be somebody on the cover of a magazine and I can see she's wearing something
Black
about
coffee.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that was quite easy. I think it became harder later.
Of course.
But not from a media exposure point of view, more from a business point of view.
Okay.
Making the wheels turn. Wasn't
The easy.
That didn't fall in place as easily.
Of course.
Yeah.
As someone who's owned a brand that premiered in 1999, this is 25 years later in 2026?
27 years.
27 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, my maths. From your perspective, as a fashion designer, is it more important to have taste or is it more important to have skill? So is it more important for a fashion designer to, how do I even explain what taste is? Because it's such an intangible thing,
I
right?
think I would maybe change it to vision.
Vision, okay.
I think it's more important to have vision.
Vision than to have the actual skills of putting a garment together.
I would say it's more important to have the vision, but it's still very important to have the skills. I think when a designer is surrounded by people with the skills, but they don't bother to find out, I think you don't even necessarily need to have it, but just educate yourself. And that doesn't mean you can do it yourself. Like, I'm not a master tailor.
Of course.
But I know what he does.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I understand the order of things and I understand the limitations.
You're the
and I
creative
understand
director.
Which fabric will do it better than another.
Yes, sir.
And if something's an issue, I could probably identify what the issue is.
I hear that.
So you need skill to that extent. But I don't think you need to come to the party with all that skill. I think if you're inquisitive enough and prepared enough to be part of the process, that you could acquire that skill very quickly.
I hear that. Makes sense.
I mean, like I've read quite a few interviews of designers that were so far removed from couture that have recently started at couture houses.
Yes, sir.
And that's like doing a crash course, because you have to go in and learn what all those people are capable of
All
doing.
the departments.
So it's the same thing
I hear
on
that.
a smaller scale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And also it's like a partnership with your team. Like if you don't have a good rapport,
It's going to be problems.
if your tailor, for instance, doesn't have the guts to say to you, this is going to be an issue in this fabric because of the hierarchy that you've set up.
Yes, sir. The structure you've built.
Then it's just going to cost you, because you're going to find out the hard way.
I hear that. I hear that completely.
Even if you don't have the skill yourself, but
You'll-
hopefully eventually you have that skill
You'll
to
be
know
able to.
which fabric is for which.
I hear that. I hear that.
It's basically a series of decision making.
Yes.
And the other skill is realizing when those deadlines for those decisions are. So that's what I feel I never learned studying.
I hear that.
It's like that kind of thing of like, if you haven't made all your decisions when you're starting to make a collection, you think you've made the decisions because you've made the drawings, you've bought the fabrics,
Yes, sir.
like now one like thinks differently about things, because maybe the first thing you do is send fabric for pleating.
Yes,
you
sir. Yes,
take
sir.
buttons for dyeing. It's like you also have to think like the guy who designed the house, but also the guy who's building the house.
Oh, I love that. The architect and the builder.
Yeah.
Fashion designing is a master craft. That's very interesting to me.
And in South African context, you also have to think like the marketing person.
Of course.
You also have to think as like the salesperson.
Of course.
And you probably your own HR.
You wear a lot of hats.
It's a lot of hats.
I hear that. 27 years into your passion, your love, right? How do you measure success today for your brand? Is success for you, and I'm trying to run away from monetary value, right? Because you run a business, that's the first thing that you want, right?
Yeah.
You need to make profit.
Yeah.
Right? That's not what I want to discuss. I want to talk about the deeper, intricate measuring stick people use for success, right? Is seeing someone dressed in black coffee, is that a measurement of success for you today? Seeing maybe your work online, like how do you measure success today, 27 years in?
So there's two things that I like that are very important to me. The one is the quality of my average day.
I love that.
That's success for me.
I love that.
Do I enjoy my average day?
I love that.
There's good days and bad days, but I'm talking about the smooth sailing days,
Yes, sir.
the fairly smooth sailing days. Are they worth getting up for? So that to me is success. Like little things like how the light comes into the studio, how I get on with my staff, that's actually a big thing.
I love that.
But just the environment, do I feel creative at work? Do I feel like I can access creativity there? All that that to me is what I measure success. Because I've had other scenarios. I've had spaces that haven't worked. I've had teams that haven't worked. So that is very important for me. And when you have that, and that you have to set up.
Of course.
So it is still me that set that up.
It's all
That's
on
not
you.
airy-fairy sitting under a tree and looking into the sky. You know, you have to set that up for it to be a success.
Of course.
So that's one way that I measure it. And then the other thing for me is, I think it's never really been about who's wearing it. Maybe it should be. Maybe it's one of my shortcomings. Not that I'm not flattered, and not that I don't appreciate people's what people bring. I mean, like for instance, at the moment, maybe the person that I'm quite most known for dressing is Thandiso Amaswai.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Even though what I do is specifically for her, I think it links to what I do in certain ways for the ranges, but it's on planet Thandiswa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Which is its own
which
planet.
Is fun to do.
Yes, sir.
And I love what she does, and I respect her, and she's a cultural icon. So it's not that I step away from that and don't think that's an achievement, but that's never how I measured it.
You're not grounded in that.
I've always measured it in, am I happy with what I've just made?
I love that.
That's always been my only measure.
I love that.
Only measure.
I love that. There's going to be, as we wind down the conversation, there's going to be a lot of young designers who are going to watch this, who are inspired by your story, right? And your brand story. What's your last piece of advice to that young designer? That maybe that person who didn't go to school, didn't go the traditional way, who right now maybe has the vision, but doesn't have the skill set that is required to build a brand. What's your last piece of advice to that person?
Just start making stuff.
I love that.
Just start making stuff. Don't even think about setting something up and maybe saving to get a space, or I can do it if I have the industrial sewing machine, then maybe I'll be able to do it. If I had when I started Black Coffee,
yes, sir,
I was sharing a cottage with a friend.
I love that.
I was folding up my futon in the morning.
I love it.
There was an industrial sewing machine in my bedroom. The tailor came in and sewed in my bedroom.
Right in front of you.
And I cut on the kitchen counter. You don't need, if you've got a roof over your head, you can start making stuff. You don't need
a studio.
No.
I hear that.
Yeah. Start making stuff.
Amazing.
Get people to wear it, if that's what you want to do. And it's also a great way of finding out if you really want to do it, and also if you have the goods to do it.
I hear that.
Yeah, because not everybody has the goods.
That's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have the resilience to go through the lows. The highs are great, but the lows are what really define who you end up becoming.
Yeah, and by goods I don't necessarily just mean talent. I mean,
of course.
I mean, you have to, like you say, resilience and a lot of hard work.
Yes, sir.
It's like 90% push. 90% push.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But you need the 10% talent.
Of course. Of course.
But sometimes designers that aren't as talented
make it.
Do better than the ones.
It's life.
Or I wouldn't even say better, but carry on doing it. And the others just decide, no.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I hear that. This was super enlightening and fun for me. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. Thank you. Great questions.
Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode of Dead Radio from your boy Ini.
And you're live on Dead Radio.